Major news organizations are outright rejecting an ultimatum from the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth when it comes to coverage of the Pentagon. Given the choice of signing on to a set of restrictive and vaguely worded rules or losing physical access to the building, virtually every major outlet is refusing to sign tonight. That includes CNN, Reuters, the Associated Press, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Politico, Newsmax, and many others. Even Hegseth's own former employer, Fox News, said it too will not sign on to these new rules before tonight's deadline. In fact, there is only one media outlet that has accepted these terms that we know of: One America News. According to the new set of rules, soliciting information from Pentagon officials would, quote, not be considered protected activity under the First Amendment. And while journalists found in possession of classified national security information or controlled unclassified documents should discuss those materials with the Pentagon press office prior to publication. In a joint statement from CNN, Fox News, ABC, CBS, and NBC, all the outlets said that these new rules would, quote, put restrictions on journalists' ability to keep the nation and the world informed of important national security issues. The policy is without precedent and threatens core journalistic protections. Yet the president and Hegseth doubled down earlier at the White House.
I think it bothers me to have soldiers and even, high-ranking generals walking around with you guys on their sleeve.
If they sign on to the credentialing, they're not going to try to get soldiers to break the law by giving them classified information. So it's common sense stuff, Mr. President. We're trying to make sure national security is respected, and we're proud of the policy.
My source tonight is Barbara Starr, who spent more than 20 years as CNN's Pentagon correspondent and was a board member of the Pentagon Press Association and is truly one of the best reporters I know. And Barbara, as someone who covered the Pentagon as extensively and deeply as you did and was so respected by those you covered, what would the implications be if news organizations had signed on to this, do you think?
Well, it puts them all at risk of prosecution. What Hegseth is talking about is you cannot solicit, if you will, information from a source, whether it's classified or not classified, unless you have permission, which means you can't go around in the Pentagon and do your job, which is reporting, talking to people, doing what thousands of reporters do in this country every day. He seems to deliberately continue to press the case that reporters are trying to get classified information out of the military. It's not been my experience, and I dare say not those of most of my Pentagon colleagues, that is the case. Classified information is behind locked doors in the Pentagon. Reporters have no access to it, and just talking to somebody is not soliciting classified information. It's just not the way it works. And as far as reviewing the information before it's published, he's getting into, I'll leave it to attorneys or lawyers, but he's getting into the world of violating the First Amendment. And that is violating the oath of office. Well, all those folks take that oath to defend the Constitution.
Right, and it's talking about going to the press office before publication. That is what outlets do already. When you're writing a story or you're about to report something, you obviously reach out for comment. But the way it was worded, and I read the agreement today, was pretty open to interpretation. But another part of this is where reporters can go and where they can't, which was already quite restricted at the Pentagon. But I want you to listen to what Secretary Hegseth said about how these new rules would affect that.
Maybe the policy should look like the White House or other military installations where you have to wear a badge that identifies that you're press, or you can't just roam anywhere you want. It used to be, Mr. President, the press could go anywhere, pretty much anywhere in the Pentagon, the most classified area in the world.
Is that true?
No, absolutely not. And he knows it, and he should be telling the president the truth. Reporters, first of all, have worn badges identifying themselves, just like you do at the White House, the State Department, Capitol Hill, for decades. So that has been taken care of. Going anywhere they want? Absolutely not. Several months ago, Hegseth further restricted where reporters could even walk in the Pentagon. But prior to that, no. They go where they have business to conduct. They go to Starbucks to get coffee in the morning. but they don't go into classified areas and they don't go chasing people down in the hallway. Let me make a point about that, however. Over the years, I covered the Pentagon. We often, all of us, ran into the Secretary of Defense or the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs in the hallway, and they would come to the press area to have a chat. You know, hey, what's going on? What are you guys working on? What's up? There was very much this ongoing communication. What Hexeth is about to lose, I don't think he even comprehends. He's about to lose the ability to have communication with millions of Americans who read blogs, read newspapers, tune into TV to get military news, to find out what's going on, to find out how their tax money's being spent, what the troops are up to, how military families are doing, how women and minorities are doing in the military. He's going to have a tough time really communicating. And that's very different than President Trump, as you know, Caitlin. Mr. Trump likes to talk to the media every day that he's in office. Hegseth almost never talks to the media. And I think behind the scenes, the big question that's being whispered about more and more is, what is Hegseth afraid of? If he's afraid of leaks, go after those he believes are leaking. If he's afraid of not showing the president how tough he is, well, he probably needs to start by telling the truth about what's really going on with the media and the Pentagon and going from there. I think he's about to potentially run into a buzzsaw of trouble because reporters are going to continue to report, whether they're inside the building or not.
Well said. Barbara Starr, one of the best. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's so great to have you back here on CNN.
Thanks.